This is GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW flyers. That is 2-3 page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW. Written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 434, entitled Men's Opinions of Women When Men Talk Amongst Themselves. Description. This video reveals what men truly think about women when they do not tell women, because men are forced to be nice to women so that women will allow men to penis them. On the whole, men do not respect women, since women contribute so little to the creation of cultures, largely parasiting off them. Men have only tolerated women due to women's two traditional monopolies of vagina and womb, but these two will soon be superseded by male engineering genius. So men's true attitudes towards women will manifest themselves more readily in the near future, especially when the sexbots and artwombs become common, and women continue to fatten up, making women sexually repulsive to slim, quality men. Now the flyer itself. Men's Opinions of Women When Men Talk Amongst Themselves by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. This flyer examines men's true opinions of women that men tend to keep to themselves, because if they express them to women, especially to a woman that a man fancies and wants to penis, she would deny him. So men are forced to be nice to women. The only thing that men truly like about women are women's vaginas, so have to be nice to them if men want to get their dicks wet. Women have always had a monopoly over reproduction, so are in a position of real sexual power to force men to be nice to them, or men will be sexually rejected. So if men have rather negative opinions of women in general, then men are going to keep quiet about such opinions when conversing with women. Men will be chatty, attentive, humorous and lively with women, so that the women are charmed, amused and flattered, so are put in a good mood, so that the odds are raised that further down the road the targeted woman will open her legs for him and give access to the man's penis into her vagina. Hence women are given a rather filtered, biased view of what men really think about women. So this flyer, written by a man, and a masculisted man to boot, aims to give women a more realistic, unfiltered view of what men really think about women. It is not flattering. Basically, I would say, being a man myself and a masculist, that men do not respect women as a sex, do not take women seriously for a string of reasons. One is that women are so emotional, irrational, even hysterical, so are seen by men more as children than female adults. Another major factor is men's negative attitude towards women. Men's negative attitudes towards women is women's greatly inferior performance track record compared to men's. Nearly all men are aware that women are basically parasitic on men. Boys grow up seeing men build everything. They see pictures of the Science Nobel Prize winners, and they are nearly always men. So that if once in a blue moon such a winner is female, then the media makes a song and dance about it. Men are very aware, even if they're not masculist scientists, in brackets, who are much better informed than the average man, how women are genetically inferior to men, close brackets, would readily agree with the masculist statement that women contribute very little to society, except for their traditional two female monopolies of vagina and womb. Men often get bored with women's talking, because often what the woman has to say is uninteresting, or at least not interesting to him. So he gets frustrated with what to him often seems to be female prattle, and is motivated to cut in and steer the conversation back to a topic that is of interest to him. To women, such male cutting in seems rude and inconsiderate, but to many men it is seen as rescuing the conversation from descending into female chit-chat that wastes the man's time. To masculists, The usual male condescension of women's inferior quality of conversation and opinion is strongly reinforced by science. Damascus. There are a string of scientific arguments to support the masculinist assertion of women's genetically inferior intellectual abilities. The most powerful one, and which, all on its own, is sufficient to crush any pretense of the feminists to claim that women are men's intellectual equals, is that women have 10% smaller brains, which is a lot, like taking an ice cream scoop out of a male brain. That is 10 billion fewer neurons in the female brain, hence 10% less neural processing capacity. So it's not surprising that women build nothing, invent almost nothing, create almost nothing. Nearly all men have an intuitive understanding of the above statements of the masculist scientists, so do not take women seriously. Masculists claim that men evolved to understand and manipulate the world, whereas women evolved to manipulate men, to parasite off men, because women could not hunt, could not plough, could not fight, so were always seen by men as being useless to the tribe or to the village. Men only tolerated women due to women's two traditional monopolies of vagina and womb. But within a decade or so, women will have lost both of these monopolies to male engineering genius. The sexbots and the artwombs are now coming out. The sexbots are now on the market, with their film star faces, their luscious curves, their creamy, grippy vaginas that women cannot compete with, especially now that 40% of women are obese and another 30% of women are fat, making 2/3 of women unfuckable by slim, quality men. Japanese scientists have already grown a goat in an artworm. That's artificial worm. So within the lifetime of most readers of this flyer, women will lose their two monopolies to men's engineering inventions, so that when men can grow their own kids and prefer to sex their bots, women will be ignored by men in their millions. As stated above, the main interest that men have in women are women's vaginas. As nearly any woman knows, if she wants to dump her boyfriend, then all she has to do is to turn off the sex, and he will be gone within a week, looking for another vagina to put his penis into. If you take away the sex, which is the great glue between the sexes, then there is little left to attract the two sexes to each other, given how different the male and female brains are. So, with now millions of women being fat or obese, it's not surprising that millions of men have now wiped their hands of women, choosing to have nothing to do with them, living the lifestyle of the MGTOWs, that's men going their own way, by ignoring women, who now only elicit the yuck reaction when in their portly disgustingness evoke the yuck reaction when the man sees her naked. Men see men as the builders of society, of cultures, and see women as parasites on those cultures, so men do not respect women. Of course, women are vital to fulfill those two traditional roles of vagina and womb, but the traditional role of a woman is not respected by men since, quote, any woman can fuck and raise kids. Since any woman can do these traditional female tasks, women are not status-worthy, since they are so commonplace. For something to be status-worthy, it has to be difficult, so that only a few people can do it, which commands admiration and respect. Men only tolerate women because of women's vaginas in the shorter term, and because of women's unique function of being baby factories and child raisers in the longer term. To the average man, listening to a woman babble in very childlike speech to her infant makes the woman look like a child herself. The philosopher Schopenhauer is famous, or as seen by women as infamous, for making that comparison. Damascus, knowledge that women are dumber than men by 4 IQ points on average, that women have a 10% smaller IQ variance, so that the morons and the genii are males, merely reinforces men's, or masculistic men's, low opinion of women. Women have won a pathetic 1% of science Nobel Prizes, So the elite males who have intelligences in the extreme upper fringe, where there are extremely few women, inevitably have a condescending attitude towards women, since nearly every woman they meet through the course of their life is dumber than he is. So he quickly learns in his young adulthood that he's never going to meet a female at his intellectual level, so inevitably sees women only as fuckholes and baby factories. To masculists, there is a genetic necessity to men's traditional condescension towards women. Men have 10 times the testosterone levels in their blood than women, so are much more aggressive, ambitious, dogged and persistent, so achieve hugely more than women, so that everyone has heard the term great man, but the term great woman sounds like an oxymoron. It grates. Now that feminism has become powerful, but masculism is yet to really spread through the culture the way that feminism has, after 60 years since the rise of second-wave feminism in the late 60s, millions of women have become what the masculists call MFBs, that's monoconscious feminazi bigots, who are angry at men for oppressing women, but being monoconscious, that is, only having their feminist consciousness raised, are unaware, unconscious of the many ways that women oppress men, since they are not yet female masculists, so have not had their masculist consciousness raised, so are not bi-conscious, so tend to be rather feminazi bitchy, and hence repulsive to men. Men do not want relationships with misandrous, male-dumping, feminazi bitches, and usually punish them by ignoring them, forcing them to rot on the shelf, not even being pumped and dumped, so that these MFBs are forced to be manless, hence are made loveless, sexless, babyless, and as masculist ideas spread, spat at for being feminazi bitches, for being MFBs. So in the light of the above, relations between the sexes in modern cultures are about as low as they have ever been. Men have never respected women as a sex, and that is not going to change for the genetic reasons mentioned above, especially with the elite males who will always be condescending of women, since almost no woman can reach their stratospheric intellectual level. So such men are doomed due to their heterosexuality, in brackets, given that 99% of males are straight and 99.5% of females too, close brackets, to be frustrated by the intellectual inferiority of the women they are penising, hence their attitude of seeing women as fuckholes and baby factories, but not possessing minds that command their respect. To such men, women will always be seen as inferior, even ignorable, to be treated only as cum receptors and child raisers with childlike minds, for example, Schopenhauer's views or Plato's views on women. Women need to be aware of this male condescension towards women and understand where it comes from, so that they are able to put themselves into the shoes of these elite men and see women the way that these elite men see women, so that women become nicer to men, less feminazi bitchy towards men. That will be difficult for women given their smaller brains, in brackets, a fact that has been known for a century and should be known by everyone, close brackets. Nevertheless, women need to accept the inevitability of male condescension towards women and stop whining about it, since to continue whining, especially in feminist tones, will only cause these women to be punished by men, by being ignored by men, forced by men to rot on the shelf, punished for being MFBs, whom masculists particularly despise. As masculist and MGTOW ideas spread across the planet, MFBs will be wiped off the face of the earth. No man will go near them. Men will express their true feelings towards MFBs, since men will not be inhibited in telling such women what men truly think of them. Men will have no inkling at all to penis such women, since MFBs are repulsive to men, who exterminate MFBs slowly, by totally avoiding them. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. Author of the book Masculism, Men's Rebellion against being man-slaves to women. An e-textbook of 430 plus masculist flyers for men's studies courses, freely downloadable in Microsoft Word format from my website. Ciao.